some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, have pled guilty to state charges in torturing of two black men. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. According to CNN, 6 former Mississippi law enforcement officers pleaded guilty Monday to all state charges against them stemming from the torture and abuse this year of 2 black men, one of whom was shot in the mouth. Their pleas Monday came after the former officers, 5 of them deputies for the Rankin County Sheriff's Office. The 6th, an officer for the Richland Police Department, pleaded guilty this month to federal charges in connection to the same January incident, which the victims have claimed was motivated by their race. There's no claim in it, it was. Former deputies Christian Detman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel O. P. Key, and ex-officer Joshua Hartland were each charged with conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice, according to a news release from the Mississippi Attorney General's office. Additionally, Detman was charged with home invasion, and Elward was charged with home invasion and aggravated assault. The release says McAlpin, Middleton, O.P. Key, and Hartland each faced an additional charge of first-degree obstruction of justice. All 6 appeared with their attorneys in Rankin County Court Monday, shackled at the wrist and wearing prison jumpsuits. The names of the county jails in which they were being held were covered by duct tape. Isn't that something? When they take ordinary black people to prison and they charge them in a court of law, they make sure that they are humiliated in every single way. To me, this sounds like preferential treatment. The former officers pleaded guilty August 3rd to federal charges in the case in which U.S. prosecutors said the former officers kicked down the door of a home in Braxton, Mississippi, where the black men were living, and assaulted them for 2 hours. The officers did not have a warrant, and some called themselves the Goon Squad because of their willingness to use excessive force and not to report it, according to a federal charging document. The 6 officers were charged with a combined 13 felonies in connection with the torture and physical abuse of the 2 men that night, the Justice Department said in a news release. CNN has reached out to attorneys for each of the men for comment, but did not receive a response from those representing McAlpin and Detman. Attorneys for Middleton, Elward, and Hartfield declined to comment. An attorney for O.P. Key said the former officer has admitted to his wrongdoing and will plead guilty to all charges against him in Rankin County Circuit Court on August 14. He takes responsibility for his part in the horrific crimes perpetrated on Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Parker, the victims, and is prepared to face the consequences of his misconduct, reads a statement to CNN from O.P. Key's attorney, Jeffrey Reynolds. Okay, let's show the photo of the 2 brothers who were abused, tortured, and even molested by these animals. The victims, Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, filed a federal lawsuit in June alleging the officers illegally entered their home and handcuffed, kicked, waterboarded, and tased them, and attempted to sexually assault them over nearly 2 hours before one of the deputies put a gun in Jenkins' mouth and shot him. The deputies, in their repeated use of racial slurs in the course of their violent acts, were oppressive and hateful against their African American victims, the lawsuit says. Defendants were motivated on the basis of race and the color of their skin of the persons they assaulted. Parker enjoyed seeing the walk of shame during the plea hearing Monday, he told reporters afterward. I hope this is a lesson to everybody out there. Justice will be served. Let me show you a photo of Michael Corey Jenkins, he's in the center, and Eddie Terrell Parker, he's on the right. They're listed as one of the former Mississippi law officers pleaded guilty to the state charges at the Rankin County Circuit Court in Brandon, Mississippi. According to a federal charging document, Dedmon text Elward, something coming in my eye there. According to a federal charging document, Dedmon texted Elward Middleton and OPK on January 24 about going to the property in Braxton to resolve a complaint received by McAlpin. McAlpin's white neighbor told him several black men were staying at a white woman's home and reported seeing suspicious behavior. Why is it that it's always an anonymous white neighbor who makes a call, and then all hell breaks loose because they don't want to be identified after causing all the problems that they caused? And they want to keep that person's name out of the papers. Dedmon warned the deputies there might be surveillance cameras on the property, telling them to knock on the door instead of kicking it down if they saw any, the document stated. Otherwise, they could barge in without a warrant, the document continued. Then he should be arrested as well. No bad mug shots, he said, meaning prosecutors said the defendants could use excessive force on parts of the body that would not be seen in a mugshot, according to the charging document. Dedmon told the others Hartfield would accompany them. According to avoiding a surveillance camera above the front door, Dedmon, OPK, and Elward broke open the carport door, while Hartfield kicked open the back door, the document stated. They encountered Parker, who was living there to help take care of the woman who owned the property, and his friend Jenkins, who was staying there temporarily. Over the next 2 hours, the two men were subjected to grueling violence at the hands of the white officers. The document said they were repeatedly tased and called racial slurs, and the officers poured milk, alcohol, and chocolate syrup in their mouths. Elward threw eggs at the men, and Dedmon poured grease on Parker's head, according to the document. Eventually, Elward removed a bullet from his gun, forced Jenkins onto his knees, and put the gun into his mouth, the document stated. Elward fired the gun, which did not discharge, then racked the side, put the gun back in Jenkins' mouth, and pulled the trigger again, according to the document. The bullet lacerated Jenkins' tongue, broke his jaw, and went out through his neck. According to the charging document, the officers then devised a lie. It's not a cover story, it's a lie. And discussed planting a gun on Middleton had in his patrol car on Jenkins instead. Elward planted a BB gun, and the officers discarded one shell casing, the document stated. Hartfield threw the men's soiled clothes in the woods and took the hard drive from the home surveillance system before throwing it in a creek, according to the document. Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey announced in June deputies had been fired, though he did not say how many or their names. The Richland Police Department announced in July that Hartfield, who was off duty at the time of the alleged assault, had resigned. Bailey, who does not face any charges, has said he will not resign. In a statement Monday, he said he hopes the guilty pleas bring some sense of justice to Parker and Jenkins. The Rankin County Sheriff's Office continues to evaluate and modify, whatever. I'm going to leave it right there. Blah, 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 yada, yada. The Rankin County Sheriff's Office continues to evaluate and modify its policies, procedures, and training for all Sheriff's Office employees, Bailey said. We have asked for assistance from outside agencies and contracted with outside firms to evaluate us, make recommendations, and conduct training. These actions are taken to prevent anything like January's tragedy from ever happening again. So now Bailey is running unopposed for re-election in November. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never.